Oprah. He'll appear on her show tomorrow. And Karen, AJ, experts today from both sides of the aisle warn, be careful when playing the race card. As Howard Dean said, we just saw in the piece, economics and age also were a huge factor in who was left behind. So this is a discussion that you can be sure will continue in the days, weeks, and even months ahead. Back to you.
Showbiz Tonight's Brooke Anderson live in Hollywood. Thank you. In fact, it's going to continue right now. Was race a factor in how the victims of Hurricane Katrina were treated? Tonight in our Showbiz In-Depth, we take on that burning question. Joining us live from Sacramento, California, Mark Williams, talk show host for KFBK Radio. And live from Washington, D.C., Morris Reed, a Democratic strategist and business brand expert and managing director of Weston Reinhardt, which is a public affairs firm. Thank you, gentlemen, both for joining me tonight. Mark, I want to start with you. The blunt question, was race a factor, either consciously or subconsciously, in the speed of the initial response?
No. I fail to see how anybody can draw that conclusion against these idiots in Hollywood who like spouting off without knowing what they're talking about. What caused the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina was exactly what everybody has known for 40 years would cause the aftermath. The disastrous conditions that prevailed, that destroyed the infrastructure over an area the size of Great Britain, and a couple of 100,000 people who have been so trained in being passive, expecting the government to do absolutely everything for them, that they didn't have the necessary brains and common sense to get out of the way of a Cat 5 hurricane, and then after it hit them, stood on the sidewalk at the convention center expiring while reporters were coming and going, some of them, I understand, even in taxi cabs.
Mark,
the problems after Hurricane Katrina have been predicted for more than 40 years. And when this is over, there's going to be no shortage of government officials and administrators and bureaucrats to put up against a pockmarked wall. But to drag race into this is not only disingenuous, but it also is to say, and this is an incredibly racist remark I hear coming from these people.
Well, Mark,
that
I got to be honest with you.
The overwhelming majority of victims are black because blacks are too stupid to get out of the way of a hurricane.
Excuse
I don't
me.
think so.
No,
Mark,
here's the thing.
Mark,
and
who
Morris
said that? Mark, I mean, that is just atrocious what you're saying. First of all, these are these are fellow American citizens who pay their taxes. These people, the government should have been there. They should have had a plan in place. Yeah, we knew what was going on, but they didn't have a plan in place, and that's not just the federal, but it's the local and state as well. I got to tell you, I'm very proud of Kanye West. It took a 28-year-old rap artist, a pop culture figure, to get America talking about a real issue. If it wasn't for Kanye West, we wouldn't be talking about this. Jesse Jackson didn't do it.
Kanye
the Congressional Black Caucus
West is
didn't
Mark,
do it.
hold on, Mark, please, a little respect. Mark, thank you very much.
Kanye
a little respect.
spoke his mind, and I am disappointed that you would call him an idiot. This is a man who is speaking his mind, speaking the truth, and speaking passionately about what he has to say.
Well, by the way, that idiot has the #1 selling record in the country right now, Mark. I will tell you
Mark,
that.
you can't be dismissive of people by calling them idiots.
Listen, guys. Obviously, this is extremely heated. Morris, I want to give you a chance. I want to talk to you about this idea that some people are throwing around, that because the mayor is a black man, because there are black politicians in New Orleans, that they should have done a better job. Morris, what do you think of that? Do you think there is any truth to the idea that leadership has let down their own people?
I think that leadership, it's not, Ray Nagin represents black folks and white folks. The real issue here is that we don't understand classism in society. If you have the means, whether you're black or white, you got out of New Orleans. So we're talking really from a class situation. It's uncomfortable to talk about class because race has to seep in there. So Ray Nagin, not only did he and the governor and the president let down black people, he also let down white people. So I think that there's enough blame to spread around here, and it's not about idiots. It's about the fact that our government did not do an adequate job.
I will tell you the only role that race plays in this is that the American black population has been the prototype for an entire race of people being turned into a group of dependents of the government. And these people, you saw them at the convention center, the people who are trapped there, I'm using that word very loosely, are screaming, we want help for 4 or 5 days, yet they didn't bother to even try to help themselves. Unfortunately, in this country, the Democrat Party, the same party that fought a civil war to keep slaves, filibustered 100 years to prevent the implementation of civil rights, has now completed the re-enslavement of blacks by turning them into passive, totally dependent economically and for the simple common sense to walk out of the way of a hurricane on the government.
Mark,
That's unconscionable. That's the only role and racists like this rap guy who don't know the first thing about what George Bush thinks about
I can tell you one thing, Mark.
Otherwise, this
Kanye
guy's
West
a Klansman in blackface.
Kanye West knows what he feels. He sees these images on television. He sees mostly black people looking in a bad situation. They happen to be mostly poor, and yes, that city is 70% black, and yes, many of those people are poor. But I think that what Kanye West is saying, he was very emotional. He's voicing what a lot of people are seeing. It looks like, had the people in the dome been white people in twin sets and pearls, he kind of feels like they probably would have got a little help a little bit sooner.
Listen,
Morris?
but more to the point is that, wait, hold on a second. The fact of the matter is that it is un-American what you're saying. When people are in need, this is the basic thing. You help your neighbor. My grandmother at home in Akron, Ohio, was watching this. I would step up and help a neighbor because I was taught to do that. You are so outrageous and so, I mean, I'm afraid that you shouldn't be in America because you're being so outrageous.
You're going to defend the looters, right?
I'm not defending the looters. Hold on a second. Let's talk about looters. Let's talk about looters for a second. If you're looking for food.
Hold on, Morris, finish your thought, Morris.
Mark, if you're looking for food, it is not lootering. If you are taking a DVD, absolutely that's lootering. That's looting. But if you're looking for food, just as a lot of white folks were doing, that is not looting. Just as African Americans were looking for food. So the fact of the matter is, if you're stealing, yes, but if you're in a desperate situation, that company, that store is going to write it off anyway. If you need food, you should be able to do that because of a desperate situation. So it's not about looting, it's about surviving.
All right, guys, that is it for now. And obviously, this is going to continue to rage. I do thank you both, though, for your opinions, for vocalizing them tonight. Morris Reed, Democratic strategist, and Mark Williams, radio talk show host for KFBK. Thanks
Mark,
for joining
you're
us.
completely out of touch in Sacramento.
A little out of touch indeed, perhaps. We want to hear from you on this. I have a feeling we're pushing